remember seeing you, Lynn, when I first ran. So I know you've been doing it longer than me.
Stephen Rudy stood up at
We're back
a
live.
chamber breakfast
Secretary.
when I was getting ready to retire and said, was saying nice things and said, he's been in the county clerk. I don't.
We're back live, everybody.
Did you really have to say that?
All right, it is 2:25 and the board is returning from executive session. Do we have a motion to go back on the record? Well, so moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. So we bypassed other business and held our executive session first. So now we're moving back to other business. Does any member have other business?
I have a piece of business, Mr. Secretary. In the last few years, as you know, we have been through quite a lot, this board, and you know, not only have we been through some controversial things, but we've had a pandemic hit us, and we had to change the entire voting process in Kentucky, and we've never really seen a period like this. And then in 2021, our executive director resigned. And I was chair at the time, and we had to go through a process of finding a new team, a new executive director and a new assistant director. And we came up with Karen and Richard as a result. But at the time, and some of you all may remember this, we were concerned that the salaries were not high enough. I was concerned, and I talked to some other members about it, and they were concerned. And it was difficult to really, given the salary level, to get good folks to take these jobs, these very important jobs. And Karen and Richard took them, understanding that we simply weren't able to give them more money based on budgetary considerations. Since that time, we have had some money come available, and we now have the ability, I think, to augment their compensation. And I think we ought to do that. We have given increments to everybody else on staff, but those two positions have not been augmented since they first started, which was in 2021. It's now 2023. And I'd like to make a motion to raise the compensation of our director and our assistant director.
To what?
I'd like to raise them 10%.
10%. What is the current salary of each?
Rachel?
I'll go ahead and second it, so it's on there.
Moved and seconded. Maybe you can tell us you would know.
Yeah, sorry, I had it pulled up for what the increase would be, but I didn't pull the previous.
Mr. Secretary, that in my judgment, they have both done an outstanding job since they've been here. They are well deserving of this, and what's most important to me is they've been scrupulous in trying to run this thing in a bipartisan way. And they're just, in my judgment, there's nothing more important than this voting system that we have in Kentucky. Have the faith of the citizenry, and one of the best ways to do that is to make sure that you have as much agreement as you can have amongst the parties and the people who are actually involved in the election. And we've had tremendous success in the last several years at having a bipartisan board, and that has a great deal to do with staff. And Karen and Richard have led that staff for the last couple of years.
Yeah, while Rich was pulling the numbers, I just want to agree that this is a tough job that you'll have. And there's never been, I don't think, in American history, a tougher time to be election official, especially a senior election official. And we've seen across the country and in our state too, a wave of retirements, people just getting fed up with it. Poll workers quitting, county clerks quitting, election directors quitting. It's real concerning. So I do think that the salary should be appropriately high to incentivize good people to work here and to stay working here. I would like to know what the numbers are before we
Right.
vote.
In my judgment, this
Yeah.
is not enough, but it's what we think we can do under the budget. Even that, the increment that I'm proposing is not enough in my opinion.
Right now, the assistant director is 89,100 and the executive director is.
Still be 9,400 increase, right? For the director and $8,900 increase. for
That,
the
that would be the
director.
salary, but it would be doubled essentially after you add the fringe. to That, so agency requirement, would be the 10%.
So we're saying roughly about $17,000 annually for the two increments, plus some associated retirement costs, right?
Yes.
And in the span of our budget, it's not a large number. Is that fair to say?
No, it's not. When we started the budget back, when I started in 2020, we had a conversation with Jared just about the budget in general, about being a 4-year plan. We had to start budgeting for 4 years out. We're now seeing what the realization of that 4-year plan was, and it was always to incrementally increase the staff's wages because we knew that was going to be a big deal. And Richard and Karen are the only two that have not seen a performance increase in the entire time since I've been here. So that we're getting to the point, we're budgeting 4 years every year, but we're starting now to see that realization. From 4 years ago.
Does the other member want to discuss or comment on the motion?
We had the same conversation when Richard and Aaron were hired, and we recognized at the time that the salaries were vastly efficient in terms, we were able to, in fact, then did a lot of the negotiating to get agreement to try to get Aaron to take the job for less, and Richard was coming in at a lower level than what he needed to. So I think it's highly appropriate to do so. I'm glad that money has been found to do it. I do know there's been a number of instances of trying to recognize staff in general for the work they do. I'd like to see that continue, but I think it's appropriate, highly appropriate to reflect the good work they've done. I'm not sure how we could have done better in terms of the two people we got and who worked together and helped move us forward. So I will be a hearty yes when the vote.
So will I.
And Jerry, you just.
Probably, I know it's not enough. And then the budgetary constraints limited us to 10%. From what I understand, right?
Yes.
And Jerry alluded to it, but Karen was the assistant director.
Right.
And she took a lesser salary. Richard came to us from one of our larger counties, but he's gonna have to make a move and, there's a lot of things, plus he needed more money. So she took less so that he could get more, so that she felt that strongly about making sure we got Richard. And I have to tell you, they've been an amazing team to work with. I think we've all seen it. And they put up with me, so thank you guys.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. Yeah, that's the big, so 20%.
Paul. I
Well,
agree.
and-
They've been an amazing team
Yeah,
and they have done. an
They really
excellent
have.
job.
And thank you
We're
guys,
very,
you two,
very
for
fortunate.
confirming the fact that when we did hire them, the money
Yeah.
then was
Yeah.
recognized as insufficient.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of years ago.
Can I just say, to James's point, that we, and to yours as well, about these incremental things, that is kind of the goal, is to be able to recognize people, staff more, readily, and not have to just wait until, but if we do this now, then this is the prime time, because we're getting ready to do the budget. We want those to be reflected in our personnel runs, for those to be funded for over the next 2-year period and going forward. So now is, it's been deserved for quite a while, but you know. now-
Particularly important to do it now. Thank you for mentioning that. You're exactly right, Rachel.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
I was looking around, didn't know. Yeah.
Well, the late vote.
Yeah,
Almost exit.
yeah, almost.
All right, thank you very much. So, is there any other business?
Just one, and I think we were alluding to it in that period of time, but just to reinforce for all the staff of the appreciation that we have for the work they do. Well, it's amazing to me to look at the amount of work that gets done by the small staff that exists here. And I never wonder from one day to the next if it's going to get done or if it's going to get done properly. And so I think that speaks to our leadership, but it also speaks to the core members of this team. And I hope you all know that how much appreciated you are. And as we have time, as opportunities going forward, we'll continue to look for ways to reinforce that.
You're exactly right. It's a great relief for all of us on the board to know that the affairs of this agency are going to be handled properly. Yeah, and it's a huge relief and we count on that. And you all have just done a tremendous job. You all and the staff, everybody we're lucky to have you. So thank you.
Very, very
Thank
dedicated,
you.
in my opinion.
And they
Very
complement each other very
dedicated.
well. Their strengths and weaknesses are so different. Your strengths are her weaknesses and vice versa. So I mean, it's a great tandem. Can't say enough about what I bring to the table to you two, because again, it's been a pleasure working with both of you.
And you all have to
And
deal
the
with us.
team.
And
Well, and as the secretary said, under some of the most difficult circumstances electorally that this country has faced, and you all are there standing in the breach, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
okay, do we have any other business we need to do now before we come back at 7 o'clock? Okay, hearing none, we will be at ease until 7 p.m. Eastern time. That means the time that the polls close in 6 o'clock Central Time in the western part of the state. We'll come back at that time. And then we will set our next meeting as June 5th at 3 p.m. unless at that time we decide something different. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good.